underdogs like underdogs. We ordered tea and biscuits in the station hotel bar to warm up. From what I could tell, Hull was almost always cold and wet, but this day felt colder and wetter than usual. The newspaper announced snow was coming. We took the Beverly Road bus along to the hotel where I'd stayed my last time in town. Run by two brothers, it was an old school bare-bones B&B with toilet and shower in the hallway and a sink in the room, along with twin bed, small TV, an electric kettle, teacup, and more biscuits. I appreciated the biscuits. You'd never get those in an American budget motel. There were modest perks to playing in Britain. I showered down the hall and blew my hair dry in my room. The light bulb couldn't have been more than 40 watts, but I aimed for as much glamour as I could muster, because that night a genuine pop idol would be in attendance at my gig. Reckless Eric had his own performance scheduled the 2 following evenings there in Hull, and had agreed to spin records before and after my show. Andy, the promoter, was aware that Eric's classic Whole Wide World had found its way into my set. The underground romantic anthem possessed magical powers to turn things around. It also had a way of signaling indie credibility, that secret handshake. Sharing of music via the internet was a new idea, so finding old cool stuff still took a certain level of commitment. Playing Eric's song, shrugging into it like the leather jacket and shades he wore on one of his record sleeves, let me display a different persona, the willful misfit. That was the beauty of a cover song. So that night in Hull, in addition to the snow, he was coming, the guy who wrote and recorded that song, along with other classics like Semaphore Signals, Reckoner Cherie, and Take the Cash, all dorm room favorites back when I was an art student in New York. I put on a glam gold 70s shirt and treated myself to a taxi down to the Bull Hotel. When I arrived at the venue, Eric was running late. I set up my equipment and grabbed a quick curry at the Indian restaurant next door. Gigs started earlier here than in the US, and in Hull, dining choices were limited to curry, kebabs, fish and chips, or pizza. It's better now. It's really better. I just had a really delicious, healthy meal. People entered the function room above the pub and found seats on the short red velvet stools around little round tables. A hooded figure entered. He was covered in ice and snow and carried a crate of records. Eric pulled the hood back, revealing snow in his graying brown hair and eyelashes, again melting down his cheeks as he told a story about being the last car allowed across the Humber Bridge. He described sheets of ice falling all around his car, how a final shard descended just before they closed the bridge entirely. He made it sound like a wonderful adventure and supernatural act of gallantry. Eric had history with Hull, having attended the art college there back in the 70s, and he'd played early gigs in that very room. People of Hull considered him one of their own. He began setting up turntables. He just moved from France. I think he lives on a boat, said Andy. I heard Eric drop the needle on You're the One That I Want from the Grease soundtrack. He wasn't too cool to think Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta were cool. My interest in him was sealed. I played my set, and with the snow falling outside and it being a weeknight, the show felt like the meeting of a secret society. I asked Eric to come up on stage with me to play Whole Wide World. He unpacked his microfret guitar, which was the same horrible but wonderful green color as the Greco-electric I used for band gigs back in the States. I felt I'd met a kindred spirit. I started playing the song and saw Eric craning his neck, looking at my hands on the frets. I transposed the song's key from E to A. This song has 2 chords, he said to me, and both of yours are wrong. I wish I could say he's gonna come out the door right now and join us, but he's back home, and I just texted him, please don't forget to put the recycling bin out. That's romance, right? We made it through okay. I apologized afterwards for ambushing him. After almost 2 years in Nashville, a town that owed a big part of its identity to people who wrote songs, I would have felt weird not inviting the songwriter of a classic up for everyone to celebrate. Eric was amused. We made a vague and general plan to meet up again, hopefully soon. I said goodbye and headed back to my room at the Mayfair Hotel, where I slept in my twin bed, accompanied by the snores of a man on the other side of the wall. Next day, I caught a train to Doncaster and another to Newcastle, then the train down to London, where I said I'd been in Hull the previous night to elicit a guaranteed laugh and nod of respect from the audience. I didn't play Whole Wide World, thinking it was being played as well as it possibly could be that night by the man who wrote the song in the room where he first played it. I hoped I could get to know him better. It didn't seem that crazy to imagine. If a song brought us together the first time, maybe gigs or friends or the internet would intervene and make it happen again. The world wasn't that big. I just really wanted to come and read that story here in Hull. I hope it was okay. It was a cold December